Good evening. Ich bin ein Globtardien. Sprechen Sie Globish. Hello there. Hello. Hi. Do you speak Globish? Hey. There we are. How are we, peoples? What's been happening? Can you hear me alright? I've changed the place so things are a wee bit different. Hello. So, Saturday. Loads to say as long as you bring me topics. So you can either bring something up or you can email the above email address and you can come on and speak. Say what you've got to say, what you're thinking about. What do you think of this whole question of the globe? What do you think of, YouTube's online communities and all that? I see that there's certain factions of a community who, if anybody remembers, were harping on at me about unity and all this, that and the other. And I was being attacked for asking questions about these groups forming in people's, and expressed my reasons why. And lo and behold, what's happening? They're all eating each other because of fucking money. It's like I saying to these people, they really don't get the severity of the situation. They really don't get the possibilities. And they really don't understand or get that the whole game of manipulation that's going on in the world, we see government through the family unit, all these delusional offerings of what life is and who you are and what you should be. For me, they are all psychological constraints, okay, to control you psychologically, emotionally and physically, because the question of the room you're in, where you actually are, is massively, hugely important. It's the one question that the majority of truth seekers avoid. People are quite content to fling misinformation, disinformation, muddying the waters, talking about all sorts of rabbit holes that have got nothing to do with them, things that they will never experience. I'm still waiting for the realists to step up to the mark. We need to understand and know exactly where we are here. I'm not interested in subjective wishes and wants and desires. Okay? I'm not interested in concepts and ideas of who we are and who people think we are and what black holes and outer space are and all this fucking gobbledygook. I'm not interested in it. Neither should you be. The only thing that's relevant to you is what you can experience directly. That's it. Anything else that you're putting your attention to, you're being lazy. You're looking to fill the void with useless drivel that may titillate your imagination. But that's as far as it's going to go. You might come up with some new conceptual art or whatever, but you're never going to find anything out about where you actually are, what you're a part of here. Which again is bizarre for me, that human beings don't focus intently on those questions. Because if you've done the contemplation, you will understand, you will realise that without those answers, what can you put your attention to? The only thing you can put your attention to is something that's just a delusion, an illusion. Something that fulfills your curiosity for a set period of time. Doesn't even fulfill your curiosity. It just distinguishes it with some substitute. But Earthshire Globes, Earthshire Globe. I see the Globe zealots have been spamming the comment sections under my videos. Carry on, lads and lassies. Whatever you think it's going to achieve, I'm not going to stop. You will never prove a globe because it's idiotic, childish nonsense. The majority of the comments this week have been, how are the images fake? Prove the images is fake. I don't need to look at images on a TV screen, and neither do you. That's not what you would call a scientific inquiry, and I'm sick of all these fucking labels. Science is just a human being curious about the world they live in, going out to establish and understand what's going on. Why does that behave the way it behaves? Why does that behave in relation to that thing? What happens when I put that thing with that thing? What behaviour change happens? How can I put use to that? How can I adapt it into my life? How does it further my understanding of my environment and where I actually am? It's very simple. So I get these morons still going on about pictures. And it's absolutely preposterous. Is there anybody, trying to reason with these people is a futile endeavour. You can't reason with a zealot. You cannot reason with a religious fundamentalist. It's impossible to reason with them. They're so enamoured by their beliefs that they will refuse to accept anything that contradicts their beliefs. So I don't need to look at images. The images that are being presented to me contradict my experience of reality and your experience of reality. This is what people always need to remember. The absurd claim is that you live on the exterior of an oblate spheroid. Because as I've said so many times before, there is nothing in your life that you could point to or look at that would suggest that it's even a remote possibility. If I understand the behaviour of a substance like water, and I know the physicality, the behaviours of that substance, and then I see an image presented to me that contradicts that known behaviour, I don't ignore what reality is in favour of an image. The image is absolutely absurd. It's just like this. Let me see here. This is the reasoning of the globe proponent. What you're seeing here in regards to globetardians is scientific proof of a few things. First and foremost, Superman's a real person. Superman's a real person who experiences deep emotions, as you're about to see. Superman can fly. Proof. Scientifico, logical proofsies in Globetardyville. Proof that Superman can speak to invisible entities. Oh, there it is. There's a curvature of the earth. Scientifical logical proofsies. Seen it on a picture. Seen it on the TV. What's Superman up to now? Oh, Superman's changing the spin of the globe earth. When did this happen? 14 billion years ago or something? Right, here it is. Spinning backwards now. Still get the same fluffy white clouds everywhere. Oh, the rocks is defying gravity. The rocks is going up the way. There you go. Your gravity is disproven because I showed you on a video. Oh, water does indeed run uphill. Look at that. Amazing. Fucking amazing. That's the type of nonsense. I know that I'm making a joke here, but it's very true. This is the reasoning skills, this is the reasoning processes of a globagandist. I see it on my telly, therefore it's real. And you just don't understand. You don't understand the complex language, the mental gymnastics that one must go through in order to accept the globe. Therefore, I'm going to sit on my pedestal and look down upon me like you are some sort of moron. I'm also getting spam comments about gravity. As I said a couple of videos ago, or the last video, people need to separate what they're talking about because it's a separate discussion. Objects falling does not define the shape of the earth. Also on top of that, this force, or apparent force, or whatever they want to fucking call it is suggested as to be a pulling force. Now, they still don't understand that there's no mechanism of pull. Pull is not a force that achieves anything, it's a descriptor of direction, i.e. I brought something closer towards myself, therefore I pulled it towards myself. The physical interactions between objects to create motion requires pressure variance. That means that you apply a pressure or you relieve pressure in order to create what we call movement, motion. One thing must be touching another thing, pressing upon it to make it move. These are demonstrable facts. You don't need to listen to me. You can check this stuff out for yourself. And just to touch on that, I really want to re-emphasise that to people. You need to stop paying attention to you. It's all very well if you listen to somebody on YouTubes or whatever, but what you then need to do, what you are duty bound to do to do yourself justice, is to properly understand it. Demonstrate it in a practical way so that you know and you understand whatever's being offered to you. So, the power's always with you. Nobody can get inside your mind. They can do that subtly if you're not aware of the tactics, but they can't physically tinker with your brain. It's nobody else's responsibility and there's nobody else to blame. So it's the same old story. I'm kind of tired of going over introductions with it. You can see it in any of the previous introductions, anybody that's interested. If you want to have a more in-depth discussion about your fantasy world known as the globe and its idiotic notions, by all means have the discussion with me. I'll highlight and show you why it's absurd. Ask yourself a question, because I guarantee you it's a really difficult thing. Ask yourself, how do I prove that I live on a globe? Can I prove that I live on a globe? You're going to have to accept some massive assumptions. You're going to have to put your faith in certain things, like what you see in your TV. And that's up to you. If you're weak like that, and gullible enough to do so, then I'm not going to judge you. But when you come to me thinking that you're some superior intellect and you want me to accept your idiotic beliefs, I'm going to ridicule you. Absurdities deserve ridicule and nothing else. As I said at the beginning of this whole game that's being played, and I guarantee you this game is being played because they do not want us exploring beyond the confines of what they have told us is the world. We could surmise and have discussions of reasons for why and the possibilities of why. Maybe it's not always a bad thing. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it is a bad thing. I'm not making any statements about that. But it's a fact that you're being deceived about where you are and how much of this place actually is known. You think you're on some finite absurdity with limitations, defined edges, and there's no way off for you, nowhere else to go, everything's been discovered. This is why life doesn't make sense. This is why the majority of people are living in bewilderment and confusion, anxiety, stress. This is why fear is being used as a main tactic. Because people don't have a chronological semblance, a sequence of true history and what they're a part of. It's been severed, bastardised, twisted into all sorts of idiotic nonsense. It's useless to you. If I've got you captive, I'm quite content with you wandering about the rooms of your containment. I'm quite happy for you to wander in and out the rooms. I'm quite happy for you to speak to the others in there. Quite happy for you to disagree, debate, create split factions. Read books, read stories. The only time I'm going to be concerned is when you start trying to break out. So I need to make sure that you're never going to get that. So I'm going to distract you. Every time I think you're close, I'm going to distract you. I'm going to, I don't know, make up an invisible enemy that's going to threaten you. Therefore you need to sit still. Therefore, you need to go back into yourself, feed your narcissism. Poor me, I'm a poor victim. I'm scared. I need other human beings to direct me. If you're going to have leaders and elect leaders in your life, you better do that with some serious responsibility. You better understand how to discern properly, so that, you know, these people that you want to represent you and make progress for you never become corrupt and utilise the power that you have given them to manipulate you, suppress you, and to use you to benefit them. It's like human beings don't learn. They just keep perpetuating the same fucking idiocy over and over again. So, the globe as a concept, it does not exist as a 3D object. Fact. What the full dimensions of this place is, I do not know. What I do know is that the world that we live upon within is level. Its orientation is level. Level meaning no deviation and elevation from my starting point to any other given point. So up here is up when I go 1,000 miles. Up is up, down is down. You exist on the level. Your internal gyroscope is calibrated to the level. Geometry is only achievable because you exist on the level. But my pictures, but my pictures, but gravity, but Neil deGrasse Tyson's, but the sun's a circle, but the moon's a circle. The more and more we hear from globists, the more obvious it becomes that they are mentally deranged. The people who have never analysed it properly, I wouldn't consider them mentally deranged. I would consider them to be under the hypnotic trance of mentally deranged priests. So there's still hope for them. Don't let yourself be distracted by all this fucking pantomime that's going on right now. Because that's what it's there for, to distract you. To ramp up the fear. So that you accept any semblance of certainty and safety that you think you have. Where is your true spirit? Huh? Where is the true inquirer? It's a wee bit late in the game now to be scared of peer pressure. Oh, I don't want to talk about this stuff because all the other mongs still believe it. So therefore, I don't want to stand out. I want to be accepted by the mongs. Does that make you feel good? Huh? You're still accepted by bewildered fucking morons who don't know their arsehole from their earhole, yet prance about the place with confidence and certainty. Yes, I know what I am. I understand the universe. I was listening yesterday to a guy called Roger Penrose talking to, I can't remember his name, William Lane Craig. Now these dipshits talk with a serious tone about fucking black holes and fucking dark energies and dark matters. These people are fucking idiots. They're talking about conceptual, language-based things. Abstract. But yet it's given prominence and respect as if it means something. It means diddly fucking squat. The objective world is there to be understood and explored and experienced by you. You don't need complex linguistics and fucking mental contortions to experience it. Fucking gets right in my tits when I listen to these people. And they're elevated like they're some sort of fucking geniuses. The galactic centre when the black hole of Uranus is fucking sweeping to the left, and that's not going to happen for about 4,000 billion years. Wasting your fucking time and your energy. Somebody's desperate to get a hold of me. I'm guessing it's going to be some fucking wee mammy's boy. Still threatened by a real man. Everybody can't be lying. No, the majority of people are fucking morons. Blind believers, blind followers. I went to school. School teachers said so. The news said so. The government said so, therefore it's true. Ah, well done. Good on you for using your discernment. Can you hear that wee pinging noise? These people are fucking obsessed. If you're a globe believer, I'm willing to have some sort of reasonable discussion with you. I'm just not interested in fucking childish wee ballless boys hanging out their mammy's tits, trying to be relevant in some way, obsessing over some strange guy that they've never met. It's a bit concerning. You should be wearing a tag or something. No animals should be left in your care in case you tamper with them. But if you've got the ability to try and reason with a realist like myself. Although reasoning and globe belief just don't work well. Because if you were reasoning properly, right, and you had a functioning fucking brain, you wouldn't dare come at me trying to convince me that I lived on some absurd concept. So, globe believers are welcome, but I'm going to needle your reasoning and I'm going to expose it, and you're probably not going to like it, which is probably why we don't really get a lot of genuine globe believers. We just get wee mammy boys or fucking paid dipshits. And again, make no bones about it, somebody, Pandemonium kept mentioning this 77th Brigade. Now, a long time ago, when I was on Facebook and I seen what was happening, I'm talking about, early 2015 here, there was an influx of organised groups taking over, pages. Mine was taken over as well. They were creating Facebook groups titled as Flat Earth or Globe Denial or whatever it may be. Now, their sole purpose was to get as many people in there as possible and then just shut it down, ridicule it. Okay? Now, these people, I investigated them, right? And I went into other accounts and their blah blah blah, and I found some stuff and I confronted them with it. And I seen the reaction that I got. Now, one of these prominent groups was they were calling themselves the Bullingdon Badgers. Now, if you look at this 77th Brigade, I think it's run about Berkshire or something, or Hertfordshire. Now, one of these main proponents, he's still on Facebook, usually goes by the name Jay Summers or Dave Smith. Right? There's many more that I've got saved, but he was one of the main ones. Now, on their accounts, they had certain images. One of the images that this clown had was of a statuette of a bull, like a bronze bull, which is in Hertfordshire or Berkshire or whatever the fuck it is. Now, these people were connected directly to government and they were displaying it. So this 77th Brigade and this organisation of online badgering, make no bones about it, it's fucking real. Okay? It is a military operation. Military defend secluded areas, places that you're not supposed to be, that they don't want you going to. Where do you think Boris Johnson, would you think he was a part of? Well, that's right, Bullingdon Club. Go and look at these things for yourself. Can you hear that wee rectum pinging constantly? That's pure obsession. Honestly, these wee cunts need to be found. They need spanked. Because their mammy is out selling her arse for crack. So there's nobody to guide them. That's why they're desperately coming for me. Wanting me to give them attention. Let's hear. You're here, fuckstick. Have you got anything decent to say? You're off. Are you back because your arse has collapsed and it's all baggy because your dash shafted you hard? Aye. So, 77th Brigade, Bullingdon Badgers. A lot of these clowns were military, ex-military, probably wrong-uns. Because the majority of them looked as if they'd some sort of habit. You wouldn't trust them with anything. So these vagrant scummy bastards are out there operating against you and I. All this pantomime, drama, palaver, constant obsessively trying to harass you. What, because we're fringe lunatics? A tiny minority of fringe lunatics, and it's obviously abundant in proof sheets and scientific proof sheets that we live in a globe. That just doesn't weigh up, does it? Huh? Over 5 years of constant obsessive behaviour. Because we are fringe lunatics. A very tiny minority of fringe lunatics. But you need to obsessively badger them. You need to think about that. Again, jumping back here, the Unity Brigade and all this stuff and all this online pish. This is exactly why I wanted to warn people. Right? Because I take it for granted on who I am that I think people can see these things. Please do not get yourself involved with all these groups. They're only going to usurp your attention and your energy. They will eventually show their true colours. It's all about money. They're not interested in the actual situation we're in and how we're going to rectify that situation. They don't have a burning passion and desire to find out where we actually are. They're not interested in it. So as I say, we know for a fact that the game is to keep us still. So then you have the questions. What would the reasons for that be? What could possibly be out there? What's actually going on? Yeah. That's alright. Come and get my cup. Bye. 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 Love you. Bye. 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 Take that. Tea.
You want more?
Yes.
Bye.
It's a silly question. This is a new thing, this Google. How do I get that off? Where it keeps trying to... I've not got Google open, but it wants to alert me all the time. Turn off all notifications. That's it, you wee sniffer. Do it again. Turned off. No more ping, 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 ping. Well done, mummy's boys. So aye, have a look at this Bullingdon Club and who's been involved with it. It's pretty much the boisterous, you know, scummy, rich toffs, right? The ones who have got no fucking common decency, the ones who are purely self-centred, right? They're groomed and selected through their wee idiotic clubs. In the UK, it's the Bullingdon, right? Go and look who came through the ranks there. And look how many of them ended up in positions of power, prime ministers. America, I think it's Skull and Bones, Yale University. Here in the UK, Bullingdon. I've had personal experience of these organised groups, as I say, and done my own investigations. It's real and it's actually happening. So I suggest that people really need to snap out of this and get a wee bit of the warrior in you. Because you're in a situation here. There is an enemy. No fucking aliens and interdimensional beings and devils and all that stuff. People like you and I. Now, whatever their circumstances are, however they ended up to be in that, I'm not judging that. The fact of the matter is that they're in that position and they're fulfilling the roles that are being asked of them. It's not about people that were in the army, fake laugh. You're not listening. This is not about generalising and hate speech about people who have been in the military. Pay attention. I'm talking about specifics. Exactly beyond belief. People forget that because they're too busy looking for the next fucking batch of entertainment. Oh, how am I going to distract my attention and titillate my fucking fantasies for 5 minutes? Oh yes, I want truth. Oh yes, I'm very serious about truth. My fucking arse. Just the same as I'm not generalising about people in the military, I'm not generalising about, you know, these people on YouTube's being nefarious or aligned to any, you know, organisation. Some of them are. But in amongst that, you're just getting normal people caught up in it. And engaging in their subjectivity. Oh, I like him. I like her. Oh no, him and hers and him are fighting. Oh no, I need to pick a side. Oh. Fuck sides. Your side is the truth. It doesn't matter who's delivering it. You need the ability to be able to discern that. Not just blindly listening and watching people. I've said it before. If I say, oh, the grass is green. The grass is fucking green. Oh, the grass is green. What does it matter what persona is offering you? Oh, but I like the laughy guy. You're too serious, you're too angry. I like that. And? Who gives a fuck? Have you checked to see if the grass is green? And that's also dangerous. Because if you subjectively opt for your fucking celebrity or your persona, right? And then you become blind to that. They may offer you truth for so long. Then they're just going to start wandering into all sorts of nonsense. Are you just going to keep following them? That's how opportunists, that's how con men prey on you. Oh, he's such a nice guy. Smiles and blah blah blah. Do you think the fucking nasties are going to come displaying it? No. They're going to come smiling. Shiny teeth. Never swear. Never get angry. Yeah, that's right. I'm together. Snap out of it. People are too quick to judge on appearances or preconceived notions. If you'd never seen me before or heard me and somebody was filling your ear hole full of preconceptions and propaganda and bullshit, you're going to come here and you're going to edit everything that you're hearing and seeing to fit that wee fucking image that's been put into you. Take things on your experience of them. So all these wee groups now, the Unity Brigade, now it's all about money. Now they're hating on each other because of money. Brilliant. Well, I should have joined that Unity, shouldn't I have? I should have wrapped myself up in Unity with people I don't even fucking know. I'm the bad guy, because I swear, and I say fuck you, and I deliver it with a bit of fucking teeth. So I was a baddie. I'm always a baddie. You got these wee snowflakes. Oh, I'm going with them because they're softly. He must be evils, because he's got tattoos and swears a lot. Oh. Brilliant. Doing a great service to your children and the generations to come. Fucking wonderful. Say, so very well, people listening. Make sure you're listening and paying attention to whoever. It's very easy to slip into your own little bias echo chamber. So you need to keep yourself on your toes, making sure that that's know what you're partaking in. Because as I keep saying, I have said, and I'm going to keep saying it, it's massively important to me. It's pretty much everything. My desire, my ambition, my passion is to find out where we are. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
So anyhow, have your say. Come and speak. I've got loads to say, loads to talk about. But you need to bring it up. You need to give me the option. Say something. Let's have a discussion about whatever you think's relevant. If you want to just have a laugh, let's just have a laugh. Whatever, I'm easy. Professor Dave, people's talking about Professor Dave. Tell me to come and see me, I'm a professor. I'll profess the shite right out of him. Still no bites. Oh, for fuck's sake, the amount of emails. Listen, Sadie, I never get back to you yesterday, mate. This weather was nice and I was too busy with stuff, so maybe tomorrow or Monday, mate. And anybody else, if you're sending me emails when I'm not on here, chances are I'm not going to get it. Because I don't have the attention span or the will to sift through emails all day. If you want to offer yourself up as a secretary, fine. Right. Have I addressed SpaceX satellites yet? What the fuck is private fucking firework companies go today with establishing the dimensions of the Earth? Now fuck off, dipshit. Make your claim. Anunnaki and Nibiru. Depends whose narrative you're going with on Anunnaki and Nibiru. Zachariah Sitchin, I think he was predominantly, one of the main ones. The Anunnaki, if it's no fucking God or the devil, it's fucking alien overlords. And they're dragging a planetoid to smash it into yours like a big game of fucking Conkers or something. That's what I've got to say on that matter. Do I think there's the possibility of other types of life? Yes. Riddle my fiddle. This will be interesting. Right, riddle my fiddle. I'm going to send you a link. came from below, whatever. Aye. They're living in, what about the other story? It's reptiles. There was a war and some continent sank and they moved underground because they lost the war or whatever, and they've infiltrated us from the underground and all that stuffs. Good story. What about Montauk? What about the Montauk project? Well, that's a good story. Hello.
Hi man, can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah. So yeah, I came across this whole subject that we live on a spinning ball with water going around it. But after I did some research, I realized all I had was just a belief. You know, I couldn't verify it for myself. I couldn't experience it. I cannot see the supposed curvature, and I don't know if there is a space actually. Maybe it's something else than what they tell us. Yeah.
It's not the way that they told us, because that's a physical impossibility. So if there is a space like a vacuum, then there must be some membrane between us and that.
Yeah. Well, honestly, in the beginning, I used to be just like everyone else, you know, brainwashed with this whole idea that we live on a spinning ball. Since I was very young, I trusted my school, my parents, and the authority. But maybe in 2016 or in 2017, I started, after seeing, you know, the whole flat earth thing blow up on YouTube, and I was recommended a lot of flat earth videos. I thinking to myself, well, this is so stupid. I can just check the videos and tell myself if it's like really truth. It should be easy to know, to distinguish the fake news from the reality, you know? And then after I watched a couple of videos, I realized that these people are onto something, you know, and I started researching it even more. And I realized the ball theory, the heliocentric model, is just as real as the pink elephant flying on top of my house right now, you know? I can't see it, I can't feel it, I can't measure it. It's not scientific. But whenever I speak with people, like brainwashed people, normal people, my family, they say, oh, why would they lie? All people lie at the same time. Come on, you're stupid. I thinking to myself, you are the stupid one, you know? If you are thinking you live on a spinning ball, but you cannot feel the spin, it's so stupid, man.
That's it.
Yeah, and you can verify it for yourself. It's a physical impossibility for water to bend the water. Can you believe that after all these years? No, it's impossible, man.
Right. Is that it?
Yeah, that's what I have right now.
No worries.
I just wanted to share this, you know, because I came across this subject like in 2017, late 2016, and now I question everything. Even this coronavirus. I can't see corona. I don't know anybody who has it. It's just a hoax.
It's just know what they're telling you it is.
Yeah, and you know, the social media, the news media, the government, they have a history of lying. So they're not credible source to rely on, you know?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not in your experience why you look at it.
Yeah, of course. You have to experience it for yourself for it to be a scientifically proven thing. But you cannot scientifically prove corona, you cannot scientifically prove globe earth, you know? They always like to say, oh, how does water stick to a ball? How can water stick to the exterior of a shape? It's impossible. They tell, oh, gravity, a programmed response that has never been proven. It's just a theory. Your whole world is held down by a supposition. It's madness.
Yeah.
We are living in a mad world, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what I wanted to say. Thanks, man, for having me.
No worries, mate. Chris Willis, I've seen the NASA publication thing, yes. flat, non-rotating Earth. Well, it's the geometry that they apply. You know, they're using Euclidean. That's, you know, it's in everything. So Joseph Parks. Now that's a lot more plausible, RY Cullen. As I said before, you've got all these factions, flat, globe, concave, blah blah blah. There's probably truth in them all. But this is what I'm saying about people who have just got a bias. They pick one of these created avenues and jump in because they want to be right, they've got the answers. May well be inside a sphere or something that represents a sphere, spheroid. Could be. But we're not on the inside walls yet, that's for fucking sure. Hello.
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 Hello?
Hello. You hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Shit, sorry, man. Is that better?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, mate, yeah.
How's it going?
Oh, nice one. Sorry, I didn't want to get cut off there.
Right,
Oh, I just thought I'd jump in. As I always, I'm always listening, but I've been recommending your channel a fair bit recently. So I thought, well, you know, I should, you know, jump in and just have a little crack for 5. I didn't realise, but you don't realise that, like, because you've been in it for a while, other people who are getting into it, they're like, you know, maybe getting sucked down a few rabbit holes, and I'm just like, look, just you need to go to this channel, you know, you need to just listen. And normally the first 15 minutes you're right in there helping anyone who hasn't quite got on the channel before, or is just getting into the flat earth and they don't quite know. But it's sometimes it's hard, because when you're saying, like when we're saying geocentric, heliocentric, you know, we're saying some people are not like, oh, what? It's different models, you know, what's going on here? I thought it was just one thing where there's a vacuum. Like, no, you know, there's lots of steps beforehand. But I definitely recommend looking into some of your older content as well, you know, you and Gav and stuff. But I was the other day, when you say about that, it's like no matter what you choose, it's all bullshit basically, you know, because you can choose your job and that's your job, you know, and that's your job, and you know, you can go down that line, or in all these decisions, everything like that. But then, what does it actually mean? Like, what are we actually doing here? And we don't. I've heard you say it. I'll be honest with you, no bullshit. I heard you say it any amount of times. Tune in all the time, and I'm thinking, yeah, get what you're saying. But I've never fully got until recently what you meant. Like, it doesn't matter if you thought you had a bad decision, a wrong decision. It doesn't matter if you went to school and studied, you got good grades, you didn't. It doesn't matter what door you opened that led to another, to led to where you are now, wishing you had another door that opened because you've been in a different place. You know, you're not quite happy, you're not quite content. You always want to be somewhere else, do something else, past, future. It's all fucking irrelevant.
Yep.
Like, what are you doing here? Yep. It doesn't matter, because anything else is taking your attention away. And I've only just realised that the actual, like, the ultimate, like, the magnitude of that in itself, like, you don't realise, because at the same time I'm listening to you and you're saying it, at the same time I'm like, right, yeah, I understand, Del, yep, no worries. Said it again, yep, sound, I know, yeah, you're right. At the same time I'm thinking, oh, I wish I'd just done that, I wish I'd done this, or maybe in the future I'm going to maybe get that job that's going to help me out, and I'm definitely going to be content then. And then it was only just recently it actually clicked. I'm like, on a minute, where's my attention?
Yeah.
Where the fuck am I? Like that. Like every human knew in the heart and the soul, but like exactly like what they were meant to be doing here, or knew whatever it is that we're meant to be doing here. If we connected to creation, if we connected to spirit, if we somehow knew what we were doing here, whatever it was, we'd all be so much happier, because I realise that half our anxiety is to do with all these doors that we wish we'd opened or we didn't open. It's about the job, or not paying the bills, or everything like that. And I just think what you're saying is finally resonated, and I understand now, and I realise why you always say it, and I just wonder how you came up with that. So like how you realise that, because I know how I realised that.
Because it's a simple analogy, mate. It's, if I wiped your memory right now, okay,
yeah,
and I put a blindfold on you and I took you somewhere and I whipped that blindfold off of you, what's the first thing you're going to ask yourself?
Yeah, like where am I?
Right. Then you're going to meet somebody who tells you where you are. Then you're going to read a book. Then you're going to blah blah blah. Then you're going to, and before you know it, you're 10 years down the line, saturating your attention with stuff rather than sticking to that initial question and pursuing that for yourself. So that's what I say. That's why I say it to people, because it's like building blocks. If I'm asking questions and I'm looking for an understanding of my existence, I'm building blocks all the time. Now, before in my life, I would thought I was building blocks, but they weren't rooted on a foundation. I was just stacking blocks and top of blocks and hoping for the best, as you say. Oh, I'll open this door, and if I chase that and I attain that, maybe I'll get fulfillment and blah 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 blah. Without that basic understanding of where the fuck are we, what is our chronology, all that stuff that we partake in is just delusions. They're just empty distractions. Some of them may feel good, some of them may feel bad. You may gain certain experiences out of certain situations and yada yada, but you're never going to get that fundamental building block. It's all just up in the air, built on nothing. So I'm glad that you've twigged onto it. Because
yeah, finally I found what happened was I had a brownie, but it was a special one, and definitely the dosages weren't quite right. And I literally had this mad experience where all I could think about was, I just imagined myself opening doors, and I realised that I would never be happy. There's no end game. There's no magic door that you're finally going to open that's going to make you content. I've really realised in my heart that until there's only one knowing here that makes any sense, that would wipe out anxiety, that would wipe out suffering, that would that would.
Well, for me, it's not really about that. It's about getting a bigger picture of what I'm a part of.
Yeah.
You know, because that for me takes me closer to understanding who we are. You know, how we came to be and what the bigger picture is here. So, you know, all the circumstances that are happening here within the room, if you like, is a total different thing. You know, I can sift through that and we can analyse that and see, you know, the effects that it has on various people. But for me, you know, that if we actually could see and understand the actual room that we're in and what it's a part of, it may clear things. Maybe there is some underlying knowledge that we can tap into that will take us back to the chronology of our true history, you know, what we're a part of. You know, that's just, it's important for me, and you know, and I think it's important for everybody else, but they just don't realise it.
Well, it 100% is. I think that I think it would bring everyone, it would level everything out. It would, if you could see through all the manipulation that goes on, and realise, you know, that there is more, and if there was underlying truth, fantastic. But I definitely, I'm finding more and more that it's like the level of anxiety in people and fear. It just is everything that's going on here. Like you've got, and anyone who kind of thinks different or you know has a different opinion, we're really sticking up and putting our head out, because more than ever we're getting noticed or getting talked about or getting, you know, we're getting outed for just having a slightly like, well, why can't we talk about what's going on here? Why can't we, you know, like, you know, what else is happening here? What else is going on? Is there a different opinion to what the mainstream's telling us? And I just think that if everyone, I can only see through this because of the flat Earth. I can only see the bullshit because I know that they're lying. That I know that it helps me see everything else, but everyone else is caught in the mainstream and just listen to the telly and listen to the radio and act how everyone else acts, are caught up in this whirlwind.
Yeah.
And I just think that if people could see like that where we are isn't where we are, then I really think that can help them in all aspects of all the bullshit.
Exactly. It's all founded upon that. You know, you remove the foundations from people and they're now in bewilderment. It's just like the analogy I gave you with the room. You know, you're blindfolded and you're being distracted because you move into another room, and in this room it's Christianity, and then you have a look at that, and then you go into another room and it's fucking, you know, whatever, you know, other teachings and practices, and it's all happening within this room, and you're looking to find a niche, you're looking to identify in these offerings who you are and what you're a part of, and they're just empty, they're just ideas, you know?
Yeah, but it's getting to the point where it's lighting. Like, I've been listening to your channel for a long time, and I've been listening to the flat there for a while now, you know, and it's now more than ever, I'm really feeling that fire in my belly. Like, no, fuck this shit. Like I don't care what anyone thinks now. I'm past this. I'm getting to the point now where before I was happy. I was like, right, well, that was definitely going to save me. I like Gav. He's sound. He's you know, he's on there now and then. He's, you know, I'm liking all these people, and I'm propping you up, and I'm like, yeah, they're going to make a movie out of you one day, pal. And you know, and I'm sitting there and I'm just going doing the same shit, same thing. And having conversations, but not like, you know, not wanting to offend anyone as such. And then just recently, over this last like couple of years or so, I'm just like, fuck this. And it's getting to the point now where it's actually happening. I see my family suffering. Yeah. I'm seeing all this isolation and bollocks. I'm seeing my little girl can't go and ask them where her nana is, her granddad is. Yeah. And I'm going around there and I'm leaving drinks outside. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? It's like, it's got to the point now, I'm like, no, not having this, because this isn't hiding away from these conversations. It's not helping anyone. No. Look at the state we're up in. Yeah. We need to openly talk about this shit. And if you think I'm crazy, let's sit down and let's talk. You know, I'll teach you the basics. It's not a problem. You know, I like how you stick to, you know, the vacuum and pressure. No problem. People can understand that. You know, I like how you stick to water. That's perfect. That's good. That resonates with me. Then two, you know, let's stick to, you know, let's talk about things, and then let's just have it all out in the open and realise, look, like, there's more evidence. All these people who are getting shut down the internet for disagreeing with mainstream, you know, it'll help everyone if we all just start like He knows to start taking a stand.
It's difficult though, mate, because what you need people to be is realists. You need to have people at a level where they understand that anything that's out with their experience, they're taking on hearsay, and they have to have that up front and be honest about that. But the majority of people are born into this know-it-all society. You know, you're being told that you've got men who have figured out the workings of the universe and they understand how life came to be and all this fucking... So it's breeding this type of, you know, mentality where people think they're fucking know-it-alls or they have to be a know-it-all. So trying to get them to just come right down to the root level of being a realist and speaking to them at that level, like, what do you understand in your experience and what can you offer me from your experience that I can experience, so that we can create and build a bigger, you know, pool of knowledge that we can share between each other. But you don't get that. What you get is repeaters. You just get people regurgitating and repeating things verbatim and thinking it means they're intelligent. It's fucking hard work, mate, because you're dealing with mental illness.
But once you know that it becomes frustrating on your part, because you're trying to hold it back and think you're just regurgitating, it's the same shit, and you're trying to hold it back, I'm trying to hold it back, thinking, you know, you think you're so big and clever, you won't listen to what I'm saying, you won't acknowledge, even when it's absolute truth, and there's no denying it, you know, about the water. There'll be a block, be a shield, and it'll just be, and they'll still look down on you, and it's hard to not get angry. I used to get angry.
I know, but the thing is, mate, is the best way to deal with it is not to treat it so seriously, right? Yeah. See when you're getting to that point, and you can see the absurdity of people and their refusal to engage. The best thing for you to do is to be indirect, subtle, and ridicule. Laugh at them, make jokes, make passing comments, make them think about it, because you're just happy-go-lucky fucking whatever, you know. Don't as soon as you get them, as soon as they see you engaged seriously, that just makes people want to oppose you even more, you know.
Yeah, 100%. I've definitely come a long way. It's just now it's getting to the point where I'm trying to explain to family or to people who's maybe just getting into the flat earth, and I'm just like, look, there's so many, like, for the people who's just getting into it, like, I'm just saying there's so many rabbit holes, and they don't understand how complex it is, that it's controlled on both sides, and that these people they're propping up on Netflix or they're propping up on the news, wherever, you know, they're going to be, high chance they're going to be compromised. I'm trying to ease them in slowly, but also saving all the dips and the years of rabbit holes. I'm trying to help them out and just stick to the water, stick to the pressure, you know, stick to the everyday reality, you know, what they can prove. But it's also good to try and use them same tactics on family, because family hurt the most. When you've got your dad who still believes that we're to the moon, when you've got family who, you know, is a very, you know, media orientated, it's very hard and emotional to try and break the bubble. But it's getting to the point where, you know, bubbles need to be burst, and it's just finding where you stand, where, you know, they don't think you're a maniac with a child and they need to bring the police on you because all of a sudden, you know, you're going like, what the hell is this, you know?
Well, that's why it's very important, as I spoke to this a long time ago, don't have an attitude of conversion, because you're going to come across like that, you know, that you have to lighten it up a wee bit and try a different approach. If it's important to you to try and affect family members or friends or whatever, then you need to think about how you're approaching it. Because if they keep seeing you with that serious, annoyed, then that's going to, you know, make them go into the realms of saying that you're a crackpot or you're crazy. But if you're just you're confident and you're light-hearted about it and you're making joke of it, then that makes them think even further, you know. Mm-hmm. And again, you know, I've had this discussion before about, you know, people, you know, you're saying like you put them towards me or my videos. You know, that's kind of disappointing to me because it misses the point. What's important to me is that somebody like yourself spends the time to understand it yourself, so that then you can articulate it and you can stand on your own ground. No, you know, just constantly referring to some other person, because that's not going to do it any justice.
Well, 100%. It only happened the other day, really, and to be honest, it was in direct through my partner. And normally I would spend the time, but unfortunately, the person he doesn't, you know, like we're all on lockdown and stuff like that. And he was interested. He started getting into it, and he wanted to know. And I thought, well, it's coming up to the weekend, and you know, I'd rather you spend the time on your channel and just to hear you out, and that maybe saving so much of the time. But you're 100% right. Like if I'm out in, like you say, I'm at work or whatever, I'll always take the time out. I'm never embarrassed. Like I used to be, you know, in confined spaces working offshore and stuff like that, and it would easily go about. I remember ringing you once. I was in a really bad way. You know, the full platform was, you know, absolutely, you know, ripping the piss every single day, and I was like, oh my god. But you know, I still had the conversation. You still have to stand your ground and become, and with a knowing in your heart, there's a confidence that comes with that, and you're not bothered.
Exactly.
You don't care.
It can only affect you when you're attached to peers. When you place relevance upon what other people think of you and what they think, then you're going to be affected by that. But as I say, it's maybe easy for me to say because I've always had the attitude of I couldn't give a fuck what anybody thinks, you know, and trying to relay that to people that they should have be in the same position. It's easier said than done, and I take it for granted quite a lot of the time because I really couldn't give a fuck what other people think of me, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Fair shot. Well, like I said, I just thought I'd jump in and just have a little crack at me.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. Hold on, 2 seconds. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Yo.
Hi.
Marcus.
How you doing? You know I'm on live.
Are you there?
You know I'm on live right now, Marcus.
Oh, shut up, mate. You're online, yeah?
I'm on live right now, mate.
Yeah, no, my bad. I'll holler at you afterwards, yeah?
No worries, bud. No worries.
Alright, you enjoy the show.
Cheers, mate. Sorry, bud.
Aye, it's no worries, man.
Aye. It's, as I say, the other problem with this is people don't have discipline or focus either. So, you know, we're 5-6 years down the road and I've watched so many people wander. You know, even people that have been here, involved here, and, you know, you think, oh, they're getting it, they're in that position, and then I see them wandering into these rabbit holes again, and they're even sharing all this fear porn and all this propaganda and thinking it's relevant because they're just constantly searching for something to stimulate or satisfy themselves or whatever, and it's like, you're just distracting yourself again, and at the same time you're offering that distraction up and spreading it to everybody else. You know, it's always been the same problem. People just grasp something and start throwing it everywhere, and it fucking pisses me off.
Yeah, I just hope that it doesn't lose momentum with all this coronavirus, because everyone's just wrapped up in that, and you can't even mention anything at the moment. So I just hope that there's still a bit of momentum there, because trying to you know, talk to people about, you know, this virus that's going on and everything else.
I actually think you know something that's so absurd. There's been so many absurdities, but this corona thing, it almost feels to me as if there's something about it, like as if they're trying to wake people up. Like, how much more ridiculous can they make this before people snap out of this hypnotic trance they're in? It's like getting beyond a fucking joke now, and it feels to me like they're being prodded. You know, like poke and prod, ha ha ha, wake up, and everybody's just like, ooh.
Yeah. I was like that when Elon Musk flew a car around the earth. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, you know what I mean? I was literally like, are they taking the absolute piss here? And everyone was buying it. I was like, it's fucking...
I think that's their get-out clause. Oh, it was all entertainment, and we told you it was entertainment, and while we were at it, we were laughing and joking and trying to tell you. You know?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Right, then I'm going to shoot off, mate.
No worries, bud. Thanks for sharing your experiences there, my man.
To be honest, it's just nice to jump in. I always just, you know, I'm always just sitting on the sides, but, you know, like I say, I appreciate everything that goes on, and thanks very much.
No worries, buddy.
Right.
Take care.
Take it easy.
Bye,
Bye.
You too, mate. As I say, I can imagine that there's many out there that are probably in the same kind of situation. And it'll be the same for me, you know, although nobody's got the balls to try and ridicule and whatever to my face, probably because they know that they're, you know, if you're intelligent enough, they know that you're going to rip them to fucking shreds. You know, if anybody comes to me in the street, I don't need to get angry or react with any emotion. I can reason with them, and I can have the stamina to stay there and watch them crumble in front of me. So say I've displayed that so many times by going to the universities. You know, we're talking about the common man here, and then you've got academia. Now look at the experiences of somebody like me who goes to academia, and I'm asking these people these basic questions, and they're supposed to be more informed, yet they're running about the place with these beliefs that they can't defend. You know? So it's an uphill struggle all the time, but you have to be disciplined in yourself. You always have to remember that your attitude should never be conversion. Right? Because that's not your responsibility. If you want to make change, you know, like I've done, I've got to think of ways that I can be indirect with people. I need to try and avoid confrontation, emotional outbursts from people. I can't be bothered with any of that. It's not going to serve you any purpose. It's just going to cause you more problems, particularly when it's family members and people that you have to be with every day, maybe in a workplace or whatever. So you need to think for yourself, how am I going to achieve this? As I say, the best method is to ridicule with laughter. If you understand and study the topic enough so that you're well versed and you know anything that they're going to offer you, you can find ways of highlighting the absurd stupidity for what it is. But if you don't, and you're just somebody who gets some sort of, you know, you think you're part of some counterculture here, you're a contrarian, and you just like to titillate people thinking that you've got a piece of information that they've never heard before and you don't fully understand it, then what are you involved in it for? Because you don't do it any service whatsoever. There's no point in you getting, you know, oh well, water does this and water does that, and then that's it. You need to understand the actual claim, which is a globular earth, a heliocentric model. Study it a wee bit, don't be scared. Because again, your bias will be there. Maybe you'll find yourself on, oh well, I've got a bias for this flat earth thing, so I don't want to look at the globe in case it makes me change my mind. Don't be scared of that. You shouldn't have a bias. You should be a skeptic. How can I break what's being offered to me here? I'm going to take anything that's being offered to me and I'm going to try and break it. Because if I can break it, then I know that it's bullshit. And that's been my attitude. What's the claim? Let me have a look at that. Can I break it? Can I find fault with it? Does it stand up to scrutiny? Can it be presented to me in a practical fashion? And if it can't fit that criteria, omit it, laugh at it, ridicule it. But don't find yourself in some wee biased echo chamber based on your emotional impulses, because that's not doing anything of service whatsoever, particularly yourself. If you're curious about any topic, get in about it properly and try and break any aspect to it. That way, if you can break all the parts, you're going to be left with the parts that work. Hey Dale, heard you mention a membrane between the two, space and air, but when I send up, air gets thinner, yes. No, the pressure is different, because we're talking about columns of mass, right? Think about it in terms of a swimming pool. Remember when you're a child, or maybe you still do, you go into the swimming pool and you dive downwards. You know how when you're getting deeper and deeper and deeper, you can feel the pressure on you, right? That's because the mass above is creating a higher pressure on you. as you go up, if you take a cubic inch of the top of the body of water, right, and you take the very same from the bottom, there's no difference. There's the same amount of stuff in there. The difference is that when you move downwards, you've got a mass bearing down on you. So when they talk about pressure gradient, that's what they're talking about. It's the weight of the mass bearing down. It's about pressure. Right? No, there's no less water in a cubic inch at the top than there is at the bottom of a fucking, 1,000 foot. It's the same amount, but you're going to feel and experience a higher pressure. So imagine you started at the bottom of that body of water, the immense pressure, and you moved upwards. Oh, the pressure's getting less. Is there less water? No. So if you continue to go up, does it just stop getting thinner or what? Well, the pressure will be less and less and less. To have air pressure, you need containment. You would need a solid separation. That's physics, that's demonstrable fact. Dan. Go and create a vacuum. You will need a containment. Now, once you've created that vacuum, try and isolate a wee pocket of pressurised air within that medium of a vacuum. It's not going to happen. It's going to dissipate evenly to a point of equilibrium. These are demonstrable facts. It's a misunderstanding of what we're talking about when we talk about less pressure as you go upwards. If you go up a mountain, the pressure decreases, your lungs will adjust. And then there's a limitation. Same as there's a limitation when you dive downwards. People need to train for years deep sea free diving in order to attune their body to deal with that immense pressure. So we're within a nice band where it's comfortable. Right? There's a spectrum. Less pressure, more pressure. Paul, it's dark in France, but you have sunlight. How's this? Because the sun's over this direction. Whatever it is. How did I get onto your show? I'll send you a link right now, Paul. Before I click that to send, Paul, I'm going to nick to the toilet. I'll be 2 seconds. In fact, while I'm away, I'll play a wee clip, a wee snippet of one of my road trips recently. Awesome weather, crystal clear blue skies. Fucking love it. Let me see here. That one. I'll be back in 2 ticks. I'm just going to play this for somebody view while I'm away. Right. That screen sharing that. What's going on? enough of that stuff. How clear are the skies right now? It's fucking incredible. It's amazing what you can do in the speed limit. I don't know if it's the 82. It's one of the best sections of road. It goes from the Green Welly to, well, coming from Inverary, you come out at the junction at Lochaw, and then from there to the Green Welly. One of my favourite stretches of road. That's what life should be about. Clear blue skies, fucking motorbikes, tearing rubber up. That's what I'm talking about. Right, fuck all that EastEnders fucking celebrity pish. Right, I was going to send that, right, Paul, sent. Fucking excellent right now. Having all these roads to yourself, cracking weather, can't beat it. Was it buffering? Was it not playing? Was it? Aye, TT, I know, fucking shocking. How about that? Biggest sporting event in the world. Fucking no happening. Right, a wee second here just to check. Right, I'm waiting on Paul coming. No worries, Dan M. What's happened to that? So I'm waiting on Paul coming. Right, what's happening in the chat box? Aye, Celtic 67. It's a bit no coincidence, is it? As soon as we get into lockdown and planes are grounded, the skies are fucking clear. What about all these people that say, oh, contrails and chemtrails are not a thing, it's just natural stuff. It's amazing that the fucking weather's got a little better, innit? Skies are fucking crystal clear. Kaz, how you doing? As of yesterday, effective immediately guns have been taken away from Canadians. Oh, fuck. We know why, eh? What's coming? Still spraying. I do still see some bits going on pandemonium. Right, Paul, I'm going to wait another 10 seconds or so. If you're not here, I'm just going to send it to the next person who is the recovering heliocentrist. Ethics and morality post heliocentrism. Right, Paul, I've waited, you've not arrived, so I'm going to shut that down. If you want to join, you need to send another one. The recovering heliocentrist link has been sent. Aye, right, Marine Navigator, Greenville Collins. I've seen these idiots here professing they're marine travellers and all that. They're idiots. Total and utter buffoons. soon as you bring up sextants and astrolabes to them, fucking game over. About GPS, the wee cartoons that I see on my screen says I'm going round the curve. Triangles don't apply to spheres, I'm afraid. Right, straight lines on curves don't work. You can't be applying that kind of geometry to a sphere. It's idiotic. Triangulating my position in reference to Sirius and all that. It's the base of your triangle like that. How are you accounting for that? Greenville Collins, get in here. Chop chop, we're all waiting. We've got a marine expert here. So all us fringe loonies could be saved from ourselves if Greenville, whatever his name is, would come in and impart his wisdom about using sextants on curves. That'd be great, Greenville. If you would grace us with your presence, much appreciated, thank you very much. I predict excuses will be made. Aye, submarines as well. Ask a submarine commander. A periscope can see over the curves because bendy light reasons. My instrumentation and my radar's all planar, but yeah, I'm flying about on curves. Can I help you? Just being nosy. You want to see yourself on the screen? Huh? Couple of morons.
He wants his cup. He wants your cup.
Wants my cup, there you go. Bye, morons. Look at you, I told you were a moron.
Thank you.
Who says you weren't a moron?
I'm not a moron.
You're a moron.
No.
What are you acting like one for me?
I'm not.
You're a moron. See you later.
I'm not a moron.
Oh yeah. Look at you looking at yourself, you wee narcissist.
I'm
Do
not a
you like
moron.
looking at yourself?
No.
Shut the door. Right, where's this Greenville chappie? Has he run away yet? Gives you the latitude in your hemisphere. The latitude and longitude doesn't define the Earth. Explain how latitude and longitude defines the shape of the Earth, you complete and utter dipstick. Come in and have the conversation. I know Martin and I'm a terrible bully. They're terrified of me. Right. What was that? What was that? Burnley and Gash, aye. So that was Steve HV. But Greenville Collins thinks that they work on curves. How, of course it does. Just saying, of course it does. You don't even know what longitude and latitude represent and how you use them. What's the relevance of longitude and latitude? What's it tied to? What's your baseline of pinpointing your position? Go, Greenville. What's longitude and latitude in relation to? When you're pinpointing the sun or anything else, what's your baseline? You should know that. I'm going to wait. Will's dead. You can use your phone to come into a hangout. No, longitude and latitude's about time. So, no, Greenville Collins, that's not what I asked you. What's your 0 point? What's that line called? That's your 0 point. Greenville. See, he's not got a clue. They're just clueless. Just fucking idiotic morons. Zealots. Professing they're marine navigators and all this rubbish. He doesn't even understand a basic fucking question.
Talking to yourself.
I'm reading the chat, I'm not talking to myself. Beat it, morons. I'll batter you. He's away Googling it, frantically trying to find something. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, man. Thank you.
I can hear you as well.
Yeah. Hi.
Well, Sound, how's it going?
Not bad.
Alright. I just wanted to, I sent a message through, I wanted to talk about ethics and morality after the Globe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What do you mean by that? What ethics and morality do we operate on right now?
well, yeah. Things get even more complicated when you're operating under a different cosmology than everybody else as well. So,
but that's only because people try and start to ascribe meaning and, you know, something that transcends us, that you know, overhangs and that gives us ultimate meaning or purpose to what life is. So that's where it will get murky, as I spoke about, you know, previously. I always see the issue is that people start trying to ascribe purpose, and that purpose is always some sort of moral, you know, ethical type behaviour.
yeah. Yeah, well, if it's all about experience, and this is just a purpose-built facility for experiences to happen in, I was trying to extrapolate from that and see if you could get an ethics along those lines using the golden rule, so that
But
if the ethic is that you maximise total experiences, so you don't let your experience prevent other experiences. I was thinking of like extremes of experience, like fully committing to an aspect of your experience, and that could be your ethic. And I know you lift weights and that, so I was thinking someone like Dorian Yates, totally immersing yourself in your chosen way to have an experience that doesn't limit other experiences from having their experience.
Yep.
Yeah, but my issue with all this stuff about this place is just a facility for having experiences created by whatever, for whatever reason, except just to have an experience. And there's the problem with any sort of moral foundation at all.
Well, that's it.
If there's no moral foundation and this place is purely purpose-built for experiences, it's just a facility for that to happen.
Yeah.
And there's no ultimate ground from which we can rebuke the particular experiencer who wants to remove all of her experiences, who wants to phone up and be troll on this.
No, exactly.
Exactly. You've got no grounds.
Exactly, because we don't have grounds right now. This is why we have these religious type teachings, that it's something that transcends us, and that's what it's based upon. But as I say, you know, we're intelligent. We can base things. You know, I can reflect on my experiences, so I can make what you would call moral choices through reflection of my own experience, that I'm not going to partake in a particular behaviour. But that's I understand that's only on my subjective grounds.
Yeah, completely.
We're in a situation right now where we have a spectrum of different subjective people coming from all different, you know, complexities and circumstances and whatever else, you know. So I mean, I still don't see why, you know, we would have some other, unless the thing that transcends us actually came or appeared and told us in no uncertain terms and offered it up, so that
you'd never be able to determine that had happened. You'd never be able to
Exactly.
There's no proof that would be what was happening.
Exactly.
Because you can't even say in advance what that would look like. So how could you identify it when it happened?
Exactly.
If that's what this all leads to, some fucking image in the sky, and it's meant to be the Almighty coming down or something, and people, how would you know that was? There's no way of ever clarifying it because you don't know in advance what you're looking for. So
spot on, mate. And that's the problem. And people are scared of that, you know, because, as I say, they need some book or something that transcends them in order to have some sort of code of life, rather than just being a realist about it and say, well, you know, you can pretty much do what you want. It's you that makes the rules up, and everybody's terrified of that, you know, because everybody thinks that automatically means that you're going to be like nihilistic, fucking destructful, raping, pillaging, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's, you know, again, a fallacy in people's reasoning and thinking that they're just putting that onto everybody else. You know, we see these things in small things like, you know, I've got a particular breed of dog that I've always had all my life, and you've got places in different countries who have got these like breed-specific legislations, you know, generalising over the whole because of like small isolated cases. You know, the majority of your thinking and reasoning is flared up by propaganda, making things more than what they actually are. I mean, how many murderers and rapists have you met in your life?
None that have admitted to it.
Well, this is what I'm saying. How much of this stuff is in the
actually one? Go on.
Exactly. I mean, I've met people who have done things and whatever. But what I'm saying is that the way that you see it in your mind or you imagine it to be is not actually how it is. So
well, that's because the way you see things in your mind is part of the ideology that's been put into us. Like the idea that if you had anarchy, everyone would just go about raping and pillaging. Exactly. That's something that Hollywood's taught us.
Exactly.
We could live quite happily in anarchy. We probably did until, I mean, it's all speculation. Who knows what the fuck happened? But yeah. if like now the ideal was there was a reset and we returned to some form of anarchy, some form of cooperation in small groups, you would always get basically the same sheep there. I mean, it would just repeat itself. You'd have everyone now who just is completely subservient. You'd have the psychopathic mindset, which was a go-getter and wanted something. He'd prevail. He'd eventually appoint himself as some leader of some council. Yeah. He'd get thrown, and the whole thing would just repeat itself. That's why I don't have your same optimism. I haven't got your optimism.
But that's another
faith in the common man.
But that's another fallacy. You know, that all psychopaths are automatically would be power hungry, you know, evildoers. Well, they're not all like that. I mean, you know, as I've said before, a psychopath can have his place. You know, a psychopath's very useful. If we want to try out a new technology of travel and we need people to, you know, partake in that, then somebody like a psychopath's perfectly fit for the bill because they don't have fear. They don't have the same.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that every psychopath is going to do that. I'm giving an example of a particular personality that might do that. I agree. We need psychopaths. I want my surgery done on my kids to be done by a psychopath. I want him just to be cold. Yeah. I don't want some complete empath in there worrying about. I want some egotistical psychopath who's a go-getter and wants to have the most number of successful operations. I want him doing the surgery. So I'm quite happy for psychopaths to be around. Yeah. I'm using that as a loose term to say that could still happen because of the human condition seems to be like this thing that we've got now, this general malaise and subservience that people have. Last caller was, you know, just that frustration with people. I completely understand it, and I don't share your. There's no. I don't have any value in the common man. It's like the common man's just as culpable as the academics. They're all to blame in this.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. It's people's apathy, and you're talking about anarchy. Well, everybody is in anarchy right now, but they've just got this illusion that they're no. But that's really what's going on. But
I don't agree that people are in anarchy right now. How are you ruling yourself now?
I mean, the world is an anarchist type world, but we're in a system, an idea that takes us away from that. You know, in regards to, like, again, getting back to the morals and ethics thing. I mean, you know, I don't need it sent to me from some dimension or whatever else. I've got the ability to reflect. You know, I've got the ability to say to you, based on a one-to-one experience each other, listen, man, here's my boundaries. you know, this is where I live, this is my domain, this is how I operate, I'm not going to fuck with you. If you agree not to fuck with me, fine, we can be neighbours and we can go on with it. But we don't need to refer to some book or some doctrine to dictate to us how we should live our life. So, you know, getting back to the point, I don't see how it would be any different going for the globe to some other model. What one? Sorry, mate.
One that has space.
No. It's not charged up, Xander. I'll need to show you how to use it. Right.
I can see you're right to talk still.
Aye, there you go, mate. Aye.
Yeah, you're saying like what could be the difference? Well, I was trying to think about this, and because this is the whole thing now, because we're just like spinning our wheels at the moment. Everyone's, you know, nothing's. Anyway, we all know that shit. Just under the spell of heliocentrism, there was the question of ethics and morality, like. If you don't want to base your actions and what you ought to do on a religious foundation, there's always been that question of ethics and morality right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And this is still the case post-heliocentrism.
Yeah.
But the reason I think it changes is not just that we are still building our boat out at sea. We don't have an ultimate foundation, so we're just already out at sea and we're trying to build our foundations and try and establish things, which is much easier to do in the physical than it is in the ethical or the psychological or whatever, because we don't have the same like ability to test things.
Plus.
Just let me finish that point now. The scenario is different because the likelihood now that this place was an intentional creation is greater post-heliocentrism than it was during heliocentrism, right? So that changes a lot of things. You've got an intent. First, you've got an intentional creator, whether it was out of whim, whether it was just for us to have experiences, but there's the possibility that the intentional creator the intentional creation may still be being sustained or at least observed intentionally, and that might have a bearing. I don't say it has, but it might have a bearing on how we ought to be behaving.
Well, I think if I can add into that, I think, you know, as I said when I was speaking to the last caller there, you know, it's hugely important, the psychological, emotional foundation. If we had a proper foundation of where we were, people would feel a bit more secure, which would alleviate a lot of the fear emotions that produce all sorts of crazy behaviours. So things would probably get better just based on that level, you know. I don't think people would need much prompting from any kind of religious book in regards to their behaviour, because the majority of people that I meet who are not religious are quite easygoing, loving, you know, caring, empathetic, whatever else, and they don't practice from any doctrine, any book or any of that stuff. It's just a choice, a reflection of who they are, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree with that, yeah.
But I do think that...
You certainly don't need, I mean, you don't need... Yeah, you can meet people all the time, like I said, these decent people. Religious or non, it's irrelevant.
See, a lot of these arguments come because these people that assert a transcendental morality or ethics are duty bound to provide proof for that, and they always refer to these books, which just ends up in a whole rabbit hole of debates and to's and fro's and blah blah. But if you just remove that and say, well, it's a choice, it's a self-reflecting choice, then, you know, you don't have to debate or prove that to anybody. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that, you know, that's why it's so important to me, because the populace of the human race is in bewilderment and confusion. They're spinning about in a concept within their mind that doesn't ground them, and it's, you know, and that's where a lot of the fear and the anxiety stems from, which can then be played upon and highlighted and amplified to make it worse and blah blah. But if people are properly grounded, you know, and they know exactly where they are, then the place would get better.
That's probably a big thing of why things are set up as they are at the moment, is to create that level of confusion, so that it is. I mean, it is very difficult because things are already up in the air when you think you're a product of evolution. You know, it's already batshit crazy then, and then when you take that away and they're trying, it's about taking away that level of certainty that we have about who we are. And
exactly.
I mean, like, if back to the question though, if it is created intentionally, I mean, as a way to have experiences,
mm-hmm.
I mean, that's to me, that's kind of like none of this is neutral. Whether you say there's a transcendental ethics at the bottom of it, or it's just for experiences, they're both kind of like subjective choices as well, how you want to sort of look at the world. If you come from a place of you don't like, you're fed up with hierarchical structure and stuff like that, then your subjectivity is going to say, is going to move to the idea. I'm not really explaining myself very clearly, but
No, but
if this place was an intentional creation, right? Did the intender want us to behave in any particular way? Because I'm looking at this from the side of like the religions, as in like religions that tell you how to act in a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, because that was how I was brought up when I was younger, and I moved away from it. And part of the reason why they're saying there's no ultimate ground for things is because you're descended from a monkey, and you're an insignificant speck of dust in an insignificant other speck of dust that goes on to infinity.
Yeah.
So it still seems like how do you make an ethical, like when people phone up and they're just trolling or they're playing the porn and stuff like that, you're thinking what a cunt, but then how do you make a final judgment about that person? Because you've thrown away all your foundations. You're saying it's sort of like every person just makes a decision. This is how I see. Those trolls have just made that decision. I'm just going to be a cunt, or I'm just going to, I want this system to stay in place, so I'm going to try and disrupt beyond the imaginary curve as much as I can.
That's right.
I don't want to say they've got an equal footing to me. I want to say, no, there is some objective way of saying they've been out of order.
But that's it. I can only stand from my position and say, look, you're just being a fucking pest, you're no welcome here, blah, blah. But at the same time, I would never, suppress them and want to lock them up or kill them, because they want to behave the way they want to behave. The problem is that they don't affect me. This is the whole problem when we get to this, because people want to control other people because they're insecure. Now, a troll coming at me does not define me. It's not going to change me in any way, shape or form. Fair enough, they might irritate me for 5 minutes, but that's the last thought I give them. They're free to do so. Their behaviour reflects them, right? And it's not my job, it's not my place to think, well, that's right, wrong, or this, that and the other, blah, blah, and they should be this, they should be that. I know I say things like, they need a fucking slap, but again, that's me from my subjectivity. But at the same time, I would still be there to fucking pull them out a hole if they needed it. I don't want to change them, I don't want to suppress them or control them in any way, shape or form. I am who I am, they are who they are, and that's fine. The problem comes was when people are insecure and they're looking at other people because it threatens them, and then they want to suppress that faction or that presence or that type of personality or whatever.
That's their choice. They're just another experience of having an experience. So you've got no ultimate ground to say why not? Why can't they just Why can't they fuck everyone up?
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. But I see the problem in that. That's why we'll have something like the golden rule that was formulated. I'm not saying that's an objective rule, but it's a place you would arrive at, based on reasoning and experience. That, look, well, it's futile. It's like I don't, if I'm a Celtic supporter, I don't spend all my time trying to, destroy Rangers and Rangers supporters, because they don't define me. They don't take away from where I place my attention.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but that's you. What if your subjective experience and your way to have this experience was, I want to fuck everyone up.
Well, that's my choice then.
That's up to them. Yeah, but how can you say they're equally as valid as the position you're putting forward now?
Well, how do you know? Because if you don't, then that's when you're creating a problem. Because then you're looking at other people as below you or above you, and you're creating a hierarchy, right? Because we're all on an equal plane.
There is a hierarchy of behaviour.
Is there?
Yeah.
What?
Well, I just can't define it. That's what I'm trying to talk. That's what I'm talking about.
There is hierarchies.
I'm trying to say I've got an issue. There is a hierarchy of behaviour, but how do we start to try and define it?
But hierarchy in the behaviours is through consent. People are partaking in these things. It's an idea. It's a way that people are pandering to and perpetuating. That's up to them. So as I said before, this is the problem. When I talk about these things, all of a sudden I'm satanic or I'm, this, that and the other. my observations of this reality is that you make a choice and you make actions, and that's your choice, your actions. You know, what I see here is people's will. Whatever you desire to achieve, you're going to go out there and try and achieve it. Now, who am I to sit back and judge that and make whatever and say, well, that can't happen, this can happen, that. I can only stand on my ground and be in that position and defend that. That's it. So if you come at me and you try and impose yourself on me, I'm going to defend my position. I'm not going to say you don't have the right to try and impose on me.
You're not?
No. Because that's your choice. I can only deal with the circumstances as they happen.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm saying, it's very murky ground. And people don't realise when they're stepping over that boundary of, you know, trying to suppress and oppress the spectrum of what's going on here. You hear me saying it earlier, even when we're talking to people, my attitude's not about converting people. It's not my place, I'm not a messiah. I don't view myself as that. And I think it's very dangerous when people start entering into those grounds. I can only have discussions with people. I can only try and understand you, who you are, what's your subjectivity, what's your reflections. I can have an understanding, I can listen to you, I can experience you, and I can take it for what it is. But the minute I turn my attention to say, well, I'm going to try and change you in some way or blah blah, problems are going to happen. And I might get my way if you're not aware of that. Again, is it good, is it right, is it wrong? I mean, no, it's just the way, it's just what's happening.
Yeah, it just is. That's what I mean, it just is. It's just, when something just is, it's difficult to make judgments about anything though, because you're admitting that it's just a judgment. It's just your subjective judgment about almost everything except the objective world.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. And this is what's been done. If you look at mainstream and you look at the system that we have, it's all in about the subjective and, you know, confusing people, and one faction try to dominate another faction on subjective levels, left, right and centre, and it just causes a fucking shitstorm. And it's not going to change until people take that responsibility and start recognising these things and where they're placing their attention and what they're contributing to. As I said before, look at the whole heliocentric globular Earth. There's no a magic magician that's going in physically and rewiring your brain. These things are offered up to you as concepts, as ideas, as products, and it's up to you whether you buy them or not.
I think that's where we need to be most careful. I've said this before when I phoned up before after that car went into space. Like the other chap was talking about, and I was just absolutely livid at the time. But when you think about how the manipulation works, actually, what you were just saying before as well, just reminded me about the sort of, there's an element of like them poking and just saying. There's an element of humour in all of this. I've noticed that. I used to think it was just kind of like a sadistic kind of humour, like flashing the torchlight on the carpet and getting the dog to chase around after it, and like he look at them, what they're doing. Yeah. But now it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I can just put it down to that. It's like, I think it was Bill from America when he was chatting to you. He said like it's like it's almost as if there's a hidden contract where they have to reveal what they're doing as they're doing it, and the other side of that is that there always seems to be this element of humour. Like it's always kind of ridiculous, like a Nazi uniform. You know, it's always that kind of ridiculous.
Exactly. It's a product, mate. It's a product. You know, like people buying Nike trainers, they don't ever investigate to find out where these things come from, whether there was child slave labour involved in it and blah blah. They don't. They just take the product on face value and they perpetuate it. You know, so these people and these products are not obligated to tell you anything. You know, it's you're obligated to yourself to discern for yourself and ask the questions about what you're partaking in. That's where the responsibility lies. If you don't, what you're breeding is a victim type mentality where you're removing responsibility and always blaming externally. You're a poor helpless. That breeds fucking nonsense left, right and centre.
Where that gets more tricky is well, what I was talking about ideology is if you don't have the language to you can only have a thought in language, and if you don't have the language to formulate that, so if you don't realise that the foundations of your thought, for example, are in heliocentrism. So I'm trying to explain, like, if this is what they understand, whoever's tricking us, or whatever's tricking us, this is what they understand is it's about ideology. It's about the things that.
It's how suggestible. It's how suggestible you are. If you look at guys like, you know, I've used Darren Brown before. If you listen to him, he tells you the formula, right?
Yeah.
Misdirection, showmanship, and
I went to see him. I went to see him live. I was really interested in how the audience reacted.
Yeah.
And how we whipped him into a frenzy, and you could feel a sort of when you came out of there, you were mentally exhausted because there was a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, I'm guessing there was a lot of stuff going on that I didn't register was going on, and I could see the response in other people around. They're all hands up. He whipped them up into a hysteria.
Yeah, that's because, you know, this is when we talk about subliminal. Subliminal only works until you become aware of. So if you start learning and you start needling and finding out and asking questions about stuff, these things can't be used against you. You know, there's subtleties that happen, like we'll laugh about the Santa Claus thing, right? But if you take that and isolate something like that, what does that actually achieve? It's creating a space internally within the psyche of a human being, right?
Yeah.
A framework of acceptance and appealing and placing your attention on these things like fantasy, you know, disbelief. You know, you're allowing a space to be created where these things are acceptable. What's acceptable to like your children because it's emotionalised. Oh, but we give them presents and everyone's turned into that.
Yeah.
You actually look at it, you go, no, what you're doing is setting up an acceptance of lies. You're setting them up to allow and justify lying. Right?
Yeah.
So these things are subtle, and it's not until you put your attention on it you start to recognise it happening. And if you know, this is why that guys like Darren Brown, if you watch them, they'll isolate certain character types because they're looking for suggestibility.
Tell the others to go and sit down,
they're looking for the ones that are more susceptible to subliminal because they're no well thought. They're no people that contemplate and think and are aware of themselves and their surroundings. They're pretty much on autopilot. And they're malleable then because they don't understand the workings of their mind and how they're being affected.
Exactly, yeah. I could see it, but I could still it was still like a draining experience. Like when you came out of there, you were sort of like, fucking hell, it's like you sat an exam or something. You were just like, you know what I mean? It's like you just done your driving test. You come out and you're like a bit frazzled, like you've been at work on you kind of thing.
Exactly.
I think that all at the bottom of it all, it's not like that we've been fed like heliocentrism and we've been fed the globe. And I know we've always seen like the spinning globe, like in the old days on the BBC. We always constantly seen these images. I think it's underneath that, and they've made measure of intelligence. The way our culture or society measures intelligence is directly proportional to how much you're willing and able to disregard the ordinary everyday experience of reality. Yeah. So they're saying to you, if you're able to disregard. But I remember when I was a kid, I was looking at sun and I was trying to convince myself. They keep telling me that I'm moving around it, but I'm not moving around it. But I must be, because they tell me I know, and I'm an intelligent person. So and you can convince yourself because they've taught you that intelligence is how willing you are to give up like your ground in the dirt.
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
That adds into what was the point I was making, because you know, just to add to that, intelligence in this system is how much you can remember, right? That's how much can you remember? But as I says to you, true intelligence for me is how self-aware are you, because if that's the true mark of intelligence. Right, because if you have that, then you're not going to be susceptible to bullshit. Yeah. You're not going to be susceptible to your own internal psyche and the influences that have been there since childhood. You have to analyse these things and understand what's influencing you and why it's influencing you.
Yeah.
You know? So it all comes back to self-responsibility. So you look at like the heliocentric model. Oh, they put it in the TV, they put it in schools. Well, let's take it right back. It's whose responsibility is it for your attention being on the TV? They just offered the product, right? Your mother and father bought the fucking product, sat it in the fucking living room, and then left you to gawp at it, right? So there's an element of responsibility there. Then you go to school. Again, whose responsibility is it that you went to school? Parents, because they fucking signed you over to be subjected to their fucking brainwashing nonsense.
Yeah.
So, you know, always comes back to the individuals having to take responsibility. All this stuff, all this manipulation and the structure that we have, it's all product based. They're ideas, they're suggestions, and it's up to you whether you analyse it properly enough or whether you take it face value and instill it in yourself. And as soon as you do that, you're then going to be influenced by it because you've created that framework. You know?
Yeah.
It's like the placebo thing. If you buy into the medical profession like potions and pills and blah blah, your desire and belief for that to be true plays a huge role.
Yeah, definitely. More the placebos. That's what the placebo is super effective.
So
more
you can
than
see the power
the
of
fake drugs.
So that's what I'm saying. You can see the power of your attention and what you're placing it on.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So that's it for me. Intelligence. How aware are you of yourself? Because if you're aware of yourself, then you can start to reflect and you become more aware of your surroundings.
What do you think about the idea that that self-awareness is always tied into language? And if the manipulators are able to manipulate the language you use, it's almost like they've got to the hard drive of how you're able to assess yourself. I'll give you an example of that, right? Only lately in I don't know, as far as I know, only lately in life, people have started talking about there's all these different genders of people. Before, in the old days, you just had a man and a woman, and the language was that. Now imagine like a person from my times. You got a man and a woman, and you haven't questioned that because it's part of the language that you use to formulate your thoughts.
Yeah.
In the male female, right? Yeah. Imagine you go forward 200 years and you've got a different language where you've got different categorizations. Your thinking is going to be different. I wonder how far they can manipulate our language so that we yeah, go on.
Again, the language is based on relationships to things, so a word denotes this, that and the other. But take it back as to you as an individual. Now go back to you being a 5-year-old child. Now when you experience people, do you give a fuck whether they've got fucking a cock, tits, any of that stuff? Does any of that matter to you? No,
but when you get given I'm using this in this example. I'm not talking about that issue as a point of like positive or negative. But I'm saying like if you ask the kid anything, he's not going to be able to know anything until he's got a language. And once you teach the kid a language, any answer he gives you is going to be couched in that language. Yep. It's like where I live in Coventry, like we say use. Like if there's more than one person, it's you. We say, hey, use over there, put an S on the end. Yep. And some people take the piss and say, well, it's not use, it's you. Yep. I would say, no, we've like improved the language because we're able to say, there's more than one of you I'm talking to because the English language hasn't got that. Yep. And I think some other languages have got it. But you can have like deep structures in your thought that are determined by the language that you're given. Yep. Now, how far that works, I don't know. But how much that can be used as manipulation, I don't know. That's how rigid you are in your literal interpretations and your associations with language. That's the beauty of here in somewhere like the west of Scotland. Because, you know, we don't take, well, personally, I don't take language that literally. We interchange words just the same as you did to mean all sorts. But if you've got a literalist, they're listening to you and they're taking things that you're saying for the literal sense of the word and blah, blah, blah. You know, here in the West, obviously, I don't know about your situation, but you know, the word cunt, now in certain places that'll be like offensive and this and the other. But we use it for everything. He's a good cunt. He's a nasty cunt. I don't like that cunt. I love that cunt. He's a great cunt. Yeah. He's a bastard, that cunt. I mean, it's just, if you tie yourself rigidly into relationships with the language, again, it's about self-awareness of what you're partaking in, then you're going to be subject to that and you're going to be influenced by it. Do you think logic and progression of a logical argument, do you think that's tied into language, or do you think that's something that's like you said, transcendental, is out there somewhere, like you know, like because I watch these characters, like I can see, like I watched that what's that knobhead on the mornings, Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan. Yeah, Piers Morgan. I watch him manipulate the structure of a he'll use a careful, he'll say something and someone will say something back and he'll say, well, therefore, so you're saying this then? I think, well, no, they're not saying that. you've slipped something in there to like twist. It's like because these people know. So I wouldn't. Do you think that's tied into language, or do you think it's
Aye, well, that's
sequences?
That's how we get sophistry. But this is a point with language, and for me it has to be simplified, especially when we're talking about things like that. You know, things should be ascribed to something that's objective, you know. But you know, obviously logic's a formal science, it's in there, it's a language, it's not something that is objective. We can utilise it to maybe break apart things, and it's used pretty much a lot in like debates when it's concepts and ideas and blah blah blah. But you can have logical processes in regards to your experience of a particular thing, and then you can go about to see if you were correct, which kind of ties into the kind of scientific method, if you like. But I mean, logic can be applied in different senses, as you know. You can twist it. You know, you can use logic to deceive people. You can twist arguments. You can give a false perception of things by utilising language. So it's murky grounds. Again, I think language is secondary. You know, if I go back, for me, back to infancy, childhood, intent was more the language. Body language was the language. What's the intent? You know, this is a problem with people when they get caught up in the literal sense. They don't pay attention. Again, they'll see somebody like me, and they'll just hear fuck this and the grunting and the abrasive tonality and whatever else, but they don't pay attention to my intent. What's this guy's intent? Where's he coming from? What's the emotive expression behind them? You know, what's that rooted in? People don't go there anymore. They take everything in faulty relationships with languages and what's portrayed to them, and it's like they don't see the wood for the trees. Do you know what I mean? They're not interested. So, I agree with you on a lot of these aspects, mate.
I see that. Like, I watched it on the telly the other day that Donald Trump came out for the task force thing, and he said something, and I thought they're immediately going to take that sentence as like a sentence, the words that he said, and then retype them on a page and then present that as what he was saying. And I thought, I knew that's what they were going to do, but then I'm not saying I support that man or whatever, but I'm just saying I don't like the fact that he said something and they knew that they could take that thing he said, bit in black and white, and misrepresent the intent of what he was saying. Yeah. That's going on all the time. Now they're like, oh yeah, but he said this. He said inject yourself with your Dettol in you. And I thought, no, he didn't say that. Yeah. His words said that, but it was quite clear that wasn't his intent of what he was trying to say. But that's, you know what I mean?
That's it. That's again, it's propaganda. This is what they always utilise. This is again back to that suggestibility, because they know people are not operating from discernment. They know they're operating on, you know, emotional influence, so they can sway them by using these buzzwords and headlines, and it portrays an image in their mind, and as long as they've got that image, that's it, the job's done. You know, I mean, you see it, it's been done here. It continues to happen with me. You know, people will just take snippets and make it out of context in order to influence other people's opinions of me, the man, and whatever else, and it's not a focus on what I'm actually offering, you know?
Yeah, I just had an example of that too, just the other day. Like I said to someone, you know, this is fucking bullshit and that. Even if there is something that's making people ill, this is all still bullshit. And they said, like, oh, you don't care about the people who are dying then. I thought, you've just... I mean, what a little emotional twist of like where I was coming from. Okay, that was like a manipulation of my logic. I'd said that, therefore, that meant that I don't care that people might be dying of this illness. It's that sort of twisting.
That's one of the huge powers they've got right now, getting everybody in victimhood, so that they can utilise that as long as they can.
That's exactly it.
Exactly. And if they can ignite that in people just by using, you know, sensational headlines or whatever, that's what they utilise. Because as I say, that's where people are not discerning and reasoning. They're operating from emotional impulse and influence. You know? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, that's what they've created. How is like the populace going to get out of that when it's like? It's literally like you said, like they're telling you that's what they're doing, and every now and again they're testing it or they're having a laugh about it. I don't know which they're doing. So the car went up. Was that a test to see how idiotic we are, or was it also just a bit of fun to see, like, you've got these people dancing for you? So you got two old like, it's like you could say I tell you what, I'll be able to tell them there's a car in space. No you won't.
Yeah.
No, you won't. Yeah, well, I'll be able to tell them there's a car in space. Well, then, I bet you a quid. You can't do it. And then the car goes up. You'll fucking buy it.
And you get Elon Musk saying, you know, that again, it's the duper's delight, it's the ha ha ha. You know, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
Yeah, exactly.
There's double speak if you've ever seen it. You know,
why do they do that? Why do they have to have a laugh about it though? It's like I don't know what's going on.
This is what I was saying earlier.
I don't know what's going on. You know what it reminds? Sorry, go on.
That's what I was saying earlier. It feels to me sometimes as if they're deliberately trying to poke people to say, right, we're fed up with this game now, wake up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people are still buying it.
It's like that, or they're testing. Like, let's find out which ones do. Or I don't know.
Do you know that way? Do you know that way? You ever done a prank on somebody and you've took it too far to the point where you see them in fear and crying, and then you go, "Oh fuck no," and you can't get them back out yet. It's almost like that en masse.
Yeah,
you know.
Even when you're telling them,
aye,
it's only a prank.
Aye,
but they've died. No, it's only a prank.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
Well, how do you see? Like, I mean, obviously you've got to have optimism, otherwise you wouldn't fucking go on do this all the time. But how do you? I mean, based on your understanding of people, mass psychology, how it's manipulated, and the way it's manipulated, and what sort of, how do you see us like coming out of it? Or
I think there's an inevitability that the natural progression through time is that people will get wise to it. I don't know how long that's going to take or whatever else, but it can only work for so long, before people have to snap out of it because it's right on their doorstep.
Yeah.
I just feel that way. There's an inevitability, but I don't have a time scale, which is a pisser because I'm an impatient bastard.
Yeah. And whether I'd like my boy's life to be in that era. If my life ain't going to be in that era, I want my boy's life to be in that era.
Well, that's when it comes down to our responsibilities now, because the next generations are our responsibility. So whatever tools we offer them is going to decide how things start to manifest in the future. So this is why for me it's important that people understand these things and start communicating it to as many people as you can. As I say, not a moral or ethical type sense. It's just basic tools that I think we require so that we don't get duped.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So
I'm always teaching that to the boy. Like, it's a bit of a weird thing when you're teaching kids though, because like when I'm talking to my boy, I don't want to be dogmatic with him and stuff. But a kid wants definite answers.
Yeah.
Sometimes with my boy, I find like other parents would just they just say like, it's this, it's just this, and like I like to say to him, we don't really know that, son. We don't know the answer to that. I mean, what do you think? What is that how it is for you?
Exactly.
And I don't know if the kid needs a more solid sort of. You know what I mean? They need someone. No, you don't think?
No, it's healthy to allow them to be able to be in a position to say they don't know, and you need to. For me, it's important to keep teaching that, because that keeps the honesty in them, because they have and always saying to them, look, you've got the ability. You don't know, I don't know. If you're really that curious, you can go and try and understand that.
Yeah, that's what I'm always telling him, because he's always like, I want to dig down to the earth. I said, well, maybe one day you'll do it then.
Yeah.
Maybe one day you can make a machine and you can dig. He's only like 4, but he's always asking about infinity and everything like that. And I'm like, well, look, I try to tell him that's not really real, son. Like that's not a number, because he's always talking about numbers. And I said that's an idea, son.
Well,
but he's not like.
They've got it in them. This is what I always say. The trivium and all these processes, they're all mapped out from stuff that we have instilled in us. So that's like Xander's an example. When it came to the numbers thing, what I taught him was there's 9 numbers, right? Yeah. And then there's this 0, which is a spacer to start a new column of numbers, but all the numbers repeat. And he just went away, and that was the only lesson I ever had to give him. Yeah. So that they have this innate ability to be able to formulate an understanding through their experience and apply it. I've got to be very careful, as you say. You can't be dogmatic. You need to watch when you're trying to influence them with your subjectivity or biases or whatever, and always remove that from the equation. For me, they've got the tools. you know, he's progressing himself. He's got a logical reason in mind. He asks the questions. He can see through bullshit. So
yeah, we talked about him before because I was talking about the veganism before and that, and whether you should how much you impose things on your kids. So like, I was saying like if, for example, if that was your ethical position, if that was your position, like I'm not going to hurt other sentience, and I can't make a distinction between a human sentient and animal sentient. I can't make a logical distinction in terms of whether I should cause them pain, and therefore I'm just going to choose to stop digging, turn my spade for a foundation, and say, all right, my foundation's going to be, I ain't going to hurt any other sentients unless they get in my way, unless they're causing me a problem.
Yeah.
So like. But then, like, so you could try and say that, you can try and like reason. So I sort of try and reason with him, because whether or not to say, like, if he come back and he said, me and my friends, we just beat up that kid, and I'd be like, why'd you do that? Oh, it was just fun. But it's like, well, no, that's not on. Teach him that, and then the same as like, so you still have to sort of like, not impose, but you're still trying to, because I don't think kids are naturally. I don't know if I share that. I think you're trying to say that a kid is naturally good, maybe.
No,
yeah?
no, they're naturally
not good. Maybe not good, but a kid naturally has a sense of what he wants. Don't want to do harm, maybe, or.
Well, they're naturally inquisitive.
Yeah, they are.
And then again, you know, well, if one kid goes up and hits another kid, right? They might say, I've done it for fun. What they'll get is at some point another kid's going to do that to them. Then they have the opportunity to reflect.
Yeah.
Right? So if that kid that they hit comes back and hits them harder, you know, it's like you see it in the animal kingdom. I talk about this a lot with like dogs. You know, this is why it's important to keep pups together until the age of like 12 weeks, because it allows them time to, you know, mouth each other to see where the boundaries are. How far can I take that bite before I get a bite back? And then they learn where the boundaries are through a natural progression. So, you know, it's like experience again, and the ability to self-reflect is what creates progress and a fuller understanding. Yeah. But if I sit down with him and say, oh, don't do this, don't do that, and I try and wrap him up in cotton wool and instill dogman to him, that's no use to him. Because then he's going to have a split in his psyche where he's second guessing himself all the time and he never has any real experience. I don't want him to no hit another child because I said so. I need him to understand why, because once it's done to him, he doesn't like it. Yeah, that's what he said to him after. Is like, well, he's like, did you like that when it happened to you? So why, you know what I mean? No, so why are you doing it to somebody else? Exactly, and somebody that gets pleasure out of that will get the pleasure out of it so far before somebody else just goes, well, fuck you, bang, no, you're not getting the pleasure. So, as I said, you know, you look at the structures we have when you're getting back to all this fear and morality and ethics, and, you know, we've got things like police forces and blah, blah, and people are under these illusions that they're safe and secure because we've got these structures in place. And you stop them and you go, hang on a minute, when do these people show up? After the fact. So having these things doesn't prevent murders or any of this stuff going on. You can't try and dictate and control everybody according to your insecurities. That's not how it's going to operate. It's not going to work. Yeah. You know? So all these fears and stuff that people have under this illusion that they've got a safe structure and police and people that care for them, it's all illusions. Because if the bad guy or whatever you want to call him comes and decides he's going to fucking rob you, that's going to happen. You're going to have to deal with that, and then there'll be an investigation after the fact. It doesn't prevent it from happening. You know? Yeah, that's it, yeah. That's part of why, like, people like this, people like living in that state of comfort or perceived comfort, don't they? That's probably why when you try and confront somebody like, oh, I loved it when I found out, fucking hell, my world's been turned upside down. The thing that I thought was like foundational, like I live on a ball, you know, it's literally the sentence that people said. When that got turned upside down, I thought, this is good. No, I got off on it. But for some people, that's so disturbing because they've built their whole identity as well on like certainties. Like, for example, they're political or something.
I'm Labour or something they'll say, or I'm, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so like it shakes everything that they believe. So it's so disturbing that it's almost like there's a resilience to it, not just from the point of view of they think you're ridiculous.
That's,
You know, you're more clever than the scientists are.
because a false, that's what they do. They buy into a false certainty, and then it's a bias, and they're going to defend it because that's what the framework that they've created for themselves, and they don't want to break out of it because they've given themselves, they've identified with it, they've created that they've solidified it within themselves, they've reaffirmed it to themselves, and that's up to them. You know, that's their problem.
Yeah. They don't want to. It's too disturbing. I got like you know, as family members and stuff. It just, like, you can tell it's just too shattering. But some people like that shattering experience. You know what I mean? Like, when I found out that the wrestling was fake when I was a kid, I loved it. I wanted to delve deeper. Well, if it's fake, what's going on? How are they doing it? How are they coordinating it? Honestly, a bit of an analogy with this, because when I was a little kid, I used to watch the WWF. You know, the wrestling and the American wrestlers and that. And you know, everyone, and then you start to think, this ain't real. Fucking hell, when you get thrown towards the ropes, you ain't going to bounce off and come back if you don't want to.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, you know what I mean? And then you start questioning it. And then, like, it's interesting because all the stuff that, all we're doing now is, like, we're just scratching at the surface. This is why I'm really cautious about these people who, like you said, proliferate all these different ideas. Oh, it's because of 5G this is all happening, or it's because it's a mutated fake virus in China. I think if the powers that be, they love that sort of talk. Yeah. They love this proliferation of different things, because I always split it. But I know they're going off on a tangent, but they love that sort of talk. So I always like thinking, try and avoid that talk. Look at the things. What are the things that we assume? Yeah. Don't try to think what's really mad, what's out there. It could be this. What are the things that I'm assuming that I shouldn't be assuming? Exactly. That's the best place to start.
Exactly. It's self-honesty. What can I experience? What do I actually know through my hands-on experience? And if I don't have that hands-on experience, what the fuck am I doing regurgitating and repeating stuff? Because, as I say, you're just muddying the waters for everybody else and all the people out there that are easily influenced. You know, it's not right.
Even if you're not easily influenced, that stuff slips in, even if you're not easily influenced. I'm always, even like watching the channel and that, like, it's always like, oh yeah, shit, I'm assuming that. Like when you were chatting with, is it Nick from Thailand? Yeah. That his name?
Yeah.
When you're chatting with him and that, and you're talking about, kids are naturally inquisitive and stuff like that. They naturally want to go. And I remember that with my boy. If you put him in a play area and a playpen where you go in the kitchen, you don't want to. He wants to climb out and that. So then you make a sort of like, you sort of then assume that the natural's right, and if it is right, then, you know, what was the intender who made this place up to? Like, I always go back to, it's easier to see it with the physical, because when you watch the boy, he squats down to do a shit, right, in like a low squat, like a resting squat, and we all sit on the toilet. Yeah. And then, but they've like, I mean, if you go and have a proper shit like that, if you've still got the flexibility to do it, then you have a better shit. Yeah. But so it's like the natural way to shit was better in the physical world, and we could test it rather than sitting on the toilet. But then the natural way of like my natural inclinations, that's different. Like my natural, like, emotional and psychological inclinations, and it's very easy for something to sneak in that area without it coming through the filter, the sort of checkpoint first. You know what I mean? Like it is easy for stuff to come in. It is easy. Like I remember when I phoned up before, like you and Gav were saying, you were saying philosophy this or philosophers that and that, and I thought that's not true. That's a caricature of what philosophy is. You know what I mean? It's like you're saying you've got these philosophers with these speculative theories and that, but then that's what philosophy is. But it's not, because philosophy is just literally what we're talking about. It's just, philosophy literally means question every foundation you've got, sort of thing. You can easily like go down a line of like, but like some people let everything in, so they just like if like you said, this all comes unstuck, and they say this place is not a globe, those same people will go on the BBC to find out what a place actually is.
Yep, exactly.
You know what I mean? They'll tune into Sky. Oh, it's not a globe. Quick, put the telly on. What is it? So, you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. So there's some people who let the whole thing in with no filter, and there's some people. I think all of us are susceptible to letting bits in here and there, or It's always about trying to.
It's always an ongoing practice. That's it, mate. You've always got to look back and reflect and say, well, how did I react there? Why did I, say this, or why did I buy into that? What was my thoughts there? What was the influence? That's part and parcel of that. Being having discernment. It's not just about discerning what's going on outside yourself. It's what's happening within.
Yeah.
So. But cheers.
Let someone else chat to you though.
No worries, bud. Cheers for that. Enjoy
Yeah,
that.
Sam, nice one.
All
Take
right.
care, mate. See ya.
You too, buddy. Right, Paul, try again. You doing, Robert? What's happening in the sky? KR7, what's happening out there in the sky? I'll wait another minute. What's going on? Buffering or something? What about me? Right. I'm not really getting anything else to say, to be honest with you. Not this evening anyway. Any questions, anything else somebody wants me to? Well, it looks as if I'm dropping off here. There must be something going on. Right, I'll just end it there then. Cheers everybody, cheers everybody that came on this evening. I'll see you all very soon. Take care, people.